Congressman, you're one of the most powerful men in Congress, but you also have the reputation of being a nice guy. How did you achieve that?
Well, I don't know that I am, but look, I just think you want to treat people the way you want to be treated. That's kind of how I was brought up, and I've been in the minority twice, and I'm in my second term in the majority, and you want to treat people in the minority the way you want to be treated. So that's really my philosophy.
Do you think that your tax reform bill will hurt Republicans in the midterms? You know, you had to know that releasing the bill would create controversy in election year.
I don't think so. I think we need to be the party of growth, the party of ideas, the party of jobs, and this bill actually grows our economy by 20%, increases income by $1,300, increases employment. So that's what we need. The number one issue facing America is the economy and jobs.
What went through your mind when you released your bill and then House Speaker John Boehner laughed and said, "Ah, Jesus," when members of the press asked him if it was realistic that it would pass this year?
Well, actually, if you look at the whole context of his remarks, he said some very positive, supportive things about pro-growth reform, and then I think tried to make a joke. That's fine. I think we could use more humor up here, not less.
Do you think you could also use more support for tax reform from Republicans?
Well, I'm getting a lot of support. I'm obviously working through the bill with members of the committee, both Republicans and Democrats, and meeting with groups of Republicans to really go through the bill in detail. It takes a long time. But as people find out just how it plays with lowering rates, simplifying the code, growing our economy, they're very positive on it.
Who do you think should take your spot on the House Ways and Means Committee?
Well, I don't really have a preference there. There's a number of members that are looking at it, and they're good people, and there'll be a time. First thing we need to do is win the election and win the majority, because if we're not in the majority, it's not going to be a chairman from our side of the aisle. So I think the focus ought to be until the election. Let's get Republicans elected, and then there'll be time for a leadership race.
Did you get a chance to see Paul Ryan's new budget today?
I haven't had a chance to look at it in detail. I basically know some of the directions it's going, but I haven't had a chance to review it in detail, but plan to do that.
So no exact remarks about tax reform in relation to Paul Ryan's new budget?
I think what he's doing on tax reform there, the comments he's made are certainly in line with my thinking, so I'm okay with that.
You mentioned, we talked about the 4th Congressional District. What's the future there? Do you have any comment about what happens next for that seat?
Well, obviously there'll be an open primary, and we'll see who files and who wins the primaries, potentially on either side, and then who goes to the general election. But there's a number of good people, both in business and elected officials, that I know will consider the race, and there are a number of good people who could take my place.
I'm wondering what's next. You said that you're not exactly sure.
Yeah, not exactly sure, not sure at all. I've made no plans. Really needed to get through this announcement, and it's a busy few months coming forward. There's a lot of issues with both tax and trade, and I want to be very active on those, so it's going to be a busy few months anyway.
So you're talking about making sure that parts of your tax reform bill at least get pushed through Congress. Is there a specific 1 line, 2 lines, 3 lines that you feel need to happen before you leave your legacy on tax reform? Well,
I'm going to spend the next few weeks and months trying to build support for the comprehensive reform, for the reform that really simplifies our code. But also in the meantime, we're going to look at what we call the extenders, or areas of the bill and outside of the bill that we can find consensus on to make permanent. And one of the things we do, the only country in the world that has large parts of its tax code that expires every couple of years. Well, if these are such good provisions, why are we renewing them continually? Let's make them permanent. So the committee's going to be looking at those over the next few weeks and months.